Hello, everybody. Welcome to another vlog. I am at a spa hotel right now in beautiful Sweden. The sun is shining. The weather can be a little temperamental. So when we first got here, it was rainy, super cloudy. I'm like trying to stay in the purview of this umbrella so the sun is like not shining on my face. But I thought it would be the perfect time to do a vlog. Might be a little loud because I'm outside and it is empty, but I have this beautiful view of the ocean right now. It just feels so good. I'm in my cozy robe. Everyone here is just walking around in the room. And I have no idea what to expect. My partner actually booked this last minute because we were trying to find a place to go to in Copenhagen. We were supposed to be in Copenhagen today, but for some reason, all the hotels were booked out. And we're like, what is going on there? He had this idea of like, oh my gosh, this place is supposed to be so amazing. He's never been. I've never been. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm looking at the sign right now. It looks like Yestad Saltsjön. But I will link it in the show notes just in case you're ever here in Sweden. And this was a nice short ferry ride from Bornholm, which is this island in Denmark. And so we were visiting his friends out there, and it was just absolutely beautiful. But it feels good. It feels good to be out. I was trying to do some work earlier, and I realized that I think I've mentioned this before, but even more so now, is that when you're constantly traveling and moving and living out of your suitcase, it makes it really hard to work and focus. If I was working and staying put in one place, I think it would actually be a lot easier because you just want to have the balance of being able to sightsee, meet different people, connect, but then also have your home base too. And I think a lot of the times I just glamorize this idea of being nomadic, and then I realized, okay, it needs to be a certain type of circumstance, or I need to have a certain type of routine in order for me to feel like, okay, I can actually work and do my job. And so I've been, a little bit of hanging out with people, meeting new people, my partners, friends, family, close friends, but then also at the same time trying to find time to myself to do the work that I need to do. So it's actually been a little quiet on the business front, especially with trying to talk about my program, Rebirth to Radiance, and also thinking about, wanting to post personally. Okay, we have some people running. I think it's like little kids. Are they little kids? I don't know. Yeah, they are. They're just running on the pathway over here. But I think if anything, what this trip has taught me is it's like I have this perspective of what I want to do in my life, what I want to achieve. And recently I came across this podcast episode and I found this video on TikTok, and it was about Natasha Oakley and her new book, Excessively Obsessed. And I was reading it, and it's actually, I'm not even halfway through it yet, but I find it so fascinating. I kind of wish I had it before I started my business. And it is about slowing your business, or not slowing your business, but the slow growth of your business and what you need for. And her mentality is that you actually shouldn't quit your job. You should keep your job while you're still trying to grow your business. And that oftentimes, oh my God, so funny behind me. And that oftentimes there will be people who will just quit their 9 to 5 or quit whatever job they had. And she actually kept her influencer job because that actually funded her swimwear line called Monday Swimwear. And it allowed her to put all the money that she earned back into her business. And she actually didn't pay, her and her partner Devin didn't take a pay cut or didn't take a paycheck until 4 years of running their business. And the more that I'm starting to research, the more that I'm starting to read, the more that I'm like realizing all of these different things. And I'm a woman that started my business in my late 30s. So I'm not like some like 25-year-old or in my early 30s. No, I just turned 38. And so a lot of things are just very real for me. Like, what is the reality? And kind of understanding kind of almost having this reckoning with the idea of starting my business. And so I think it's definitely influenced by a lot of the people that I have met who have children. And again, it's very common to have children in Denmark because society supports you to do so. I actually just learned in Germany that you get 3 years of maternity leave from one of the women that I met. She, came from Germany, and, here in Denmark, you only get 9 months, and then 3 months is actually given to your partner for paternity leave. So together it's, a full year. And I just found that so fascinating. And there's even, help from the government to start your own small business. So they give you money, they give you opportunity to start a job while you're still getting your business up and running and doing funding and everything like that. And so it's just making me understand, like, what are the things that I have done to set myself up for success running my business, kind of like fully understanding and fully fleshing out. It's kind of like you have this half-baked idea, but then at the same time, um, you just have this belief and hope in yourself that it's going to be successful. And then I think I'm just coming to terms with what it actually entails, the amount of time that it takes, and then also realizing that I do want to have a baby in the next 1 to 2 years. And so thinking about that as well, right? Like, is my business sustainable enough to actually pay me a 6 month maternity leave? What is the reality of the situation? And so it's just all of these things where I'm like, oh, okay, what is the adult thing that I would do versus what is like the naive slash hopeful thing that I would do? And those things definitely come into play. And so I'm starting to realize, like, oh, you know, maybe it was more important to do research. And I just like have so many thoughts that's running in my head right now, but then also a little bit of resistance sharing it because of things that I've been told of, if you're running a business, you don't really share the behind the scenes until after it's done or happened yet. But I kind of just want to talk about the messy middle of just where I'm at right now. And like most of my vlogs are just the journey of me becoming really successful in my business, because that is a dream of mine. And I think I'm just really starting to realize, okay, well, what is the 1 year? What is the 3 year? What is the 5 year plan? And to be very honest, I'm starting to realize that I was very burnt out from my 9 to 5. And I had this idea of what I wanted to do. I didn't fully flesh it out, but I knew I had a really good skill set for it. I knew that I could really talk about spirituality. I had a lot of experience in it, but in terms of the business side, I did not. And so that's why I've been surrounding myself with so many people who understand the idea of product market fit, or, um, you know, target market research, like all those things of like really understanding what it takes to go to market with an idea, and doing your research and due diligence and creating business plans before you actually do it, of how you're going to be profitable, what is a business model, because who said it? I was reading it somewhere. Um, that the biggest reason why companies fail in the very beginning is because of cash flow. They just don't have enough runway. And in the book, Obsessively Obsessed, it talks about having enough cash flow for at least a year, or not quitting your 9 to 5 unless you've consecutively shown in subsequent months that you have profit. Profit is very different than revenue. Profit is revenue minus expenses. So, what is the leftover money that you have to run your business? And it takes a while. And so that's just what I'm learning, that it actually takes a while to build a warm audience. It takes a while to build a community. And it's almost like asking for a promotion at a corporation without necessarily sharing what your personal brand is as an employee. And so even though you have this idea, if it isn't tested or validated in the market yet, you're not going to have people that are willing to buy it, because sure, it is saturated. And I am going to say this, all products, all services are the same, but the only thing that makes a difference is you. And so when you think about personal branding, you really have to think about, who are you? What do you stand for? And sometimes you don't know what you stand for unless you have that experience set, and you can't bypass time. I don't care how many times people say you can effing quantum leap stuff. like when it comes to this, like time is time, right? You got to pay your dues first, and like sure you can have hope and all of that stuff, but you also have to be really realistic. And a lot of the business coaches out there, they're teaching you how to market. They're not business coaches, they're marketing coaches. They're teaching you to learn how to sell. They're teaching you to learn how to launch. They're teaching you to learn how to talk about your product. They're teaching you to learn about messaging. That stuff is very, it's like the second step, I would say. So sometimes when you see coaches or people in the service, industry, they go straight to it, but then they're realizing like, oh, it's actually taking a long time because they miss the fundamental step of like structuring your business in a way to make it sustainable so you don't quit. It's actually very easy to market. Marketing is just talking about your business. That's it. It's just like doing collaborations, just getting on different platforms, getting as many platforms as you can so you can have a wider reach. We call it total addressable market. So you want to really high reach, wide reach, so that the more people start to get to know you and that you're not talking to the same audience. That's the thing that we're seeing on Instagram right now, is that it's a lot of people are really frustrated with it because you're not being shown different types. Your content isn't being shown to new different people. Whereas TikTok, it's visibility. Like I have a video that continuously gets engagement with it, and it's something that I did like maybe over a year and a half ago, similar model to YouTube. And so when you think about how long it takes, when you think about different actors who had to try for like different roles and not rehearsing, I have such brain fart right now. but basically going on auditions, it took them many years. It's not like they were an overnight success. I'm just gonna move this way because I don't want the sun in my eyes, and it is in my eyes. Okay, it's whatever. We're just gonna work with it. And so you're really thinking about those different things of where it has taken them time to be this quote unquote overnight success, but it's taken them many years to get there. Maybe you've had people that follow them earlier, maybe you have people that follow them before. And I mean, even think about Charlie XCX. She was in the industry probably earlier than 19 years old, but then now she's getting notoriety even more so for her album. And it just like, you cannot bypass time. And so for me, it's almost looking at like going back to the drawing board and knowing that this business of me helping women with spirituality, with empowerment, is something that I feel so called to do. But now that I know with the experience that I have of like, okay, this is actually what it takes to run a business. It's going to take longer than I anticipated. I don't want to dysregulate my nervous system by always constantly relying on my own business to give me money just yet. It's not doing that right now. So what can I do in the meantime of creating different streams of income and having like a portfolio of different types of income so that I don't have to rely on this solely? And how do I know how to make money? Like people say the best entrepreneurs are just people that know how to make money. And that's what it is. And so it's just being able to understand, and I think almost the humility aspect, and being really realistic of what it is in my life that I currently want at the moment and what is the reality of it. And being very honest with where I'm at, where I want to go, and being okay with the timeline. And so that's where I feel like, okay, I was not expecting that lesson right now. But more and more I think about it, the more I talk about it, I'm like, okay. And something that I realized for myself is that I have a lot of different ideas and I get super excited about something, but just because I'm excited about it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right time to launch it. Or maybe I get excited about launching a certain product or a certain offering because I feel like maybe a current offering isn't doing so great. And so my solution is to like offer something different, but maybe it's understanding, okay, why isn't the current offering selling right now? And how am I trying to market it better? Do I need to speak about it differently? Is it not resonating? Is it resonating with the wrong people? And even though it's not necessarily this like living and breathing thing, but trying to understand what are the things that I need to do in order to make it more appealing, or maybe my audience right now just doesn't okay with it. or going back to one-on-ones. And so I see a lot of this. Like, I see a lot of people that will try and stray away from one-on-ones because they want to do group because they want more money. But in reality, it's like until you've learned to codify a formula that you've had from your one-on-ones, I think of your one-on-ones as doing market research. They're the ones where you're getting really intimate and close to your target market on a one-on-one basis. It's very, very intimate. And so as you're starting to do that, start to write down and think and look at different patterns so that eventually when you do have so many of these one-on-ones, you can codify it and create this formula that'll help people and impact them, so you don't have to be on a one-on-one basis. That one-to-many can actually give them the same results in your one-on-one container, but in a mass scale. And so, like, I know that I would not have learned all these different things and insights unless I had left my 9-to-5 job, and I don't regret it. I absolutely don't. I'm happy that I'm consulting, and I actually think it's smarter to grow your business slower as opposed to burning yourself out. I'm just all about sustainable growth as opposed to trying to grow my business as fast as I can and feeling burnt out and working around the clock. That's just not me. It doesn't mean that I'm not working hard. It just means that I have a different type of approach to it, to success. And it's, I think, okay, if I am going to live, hopefully for a long time, then what is the rush if I know that this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life? And trying to really understand it and learn it. And so it's almost like having a slow burn instead of going from 0 to 1,000. It's just, maybe it's just a little bit slower and learning to be okay with that. I'm gonna drink some water right now. But that's what's just been on my mind lately. And, sometimes it's easy to wish that you're in a different, I really just like that one. Like, all the people that know when you buy water bottles in Europe, it's just, they have this little plastic thing that just comes out. But typical me, I left my water bottle on the flight coming over here to Denmark, and I was really sad because I'm notoriously known for leaving my big Hydro Flask water bottles everywhere. I think that's like the 6th one I've lost. I'm just gonna buy cheaper ones now. I don't need to be spending ridiculous amounts of money on my Hydro Flask water bottles. But that's just what's been on my mind lately. And I just wish someone told me of what I was getting into. I think I just had this idea of believing all these business coaches that would tell you you're making lots of money, but that's just the angle that they're selling it to you as. So just be really cautious of that, right? Like, I see this a lot, and I saw this in myself, that I just really wanted to leave my 9-to-5 because I was burnt out. And it took me a long time to feel kind of like settled in my body, really, really settled in my body, and really just like feeling okay that I can function again. And I feel really good about my nervous system. I think going back to a 9-to-5 is definitely something where I am open to. But is it something that because I see it now, right? Like, even just with some clients that I'm consulting with, just how stressed people can be. And I just am like, good, that. I don't really care to climb the corporate ladder. I'm not trying to be a director. I know what it's like. I've always known what it's like. And I think that's why I never wanted to climb the corporate ladder, because I was always building someone else's dream. Like, I am willing to work and put in the hours if it's my dream, but I don't want to waste away my life doing someone else's. I've just never been that person. I just haven't, but I know it's probably a means to an end for me right now, just where I'm at right now, but who knows? And so I think this is like probably for people that are interested in starting on entrepreneurships or their own business in the very beginning, I would say realistically it's 0 to 5 years, meaning the first 0 to 3 years, you're just going to be trying to build a warm audience. And learning how to engage with an audience. Obviously, you can have different people teach you different education and lessons on how to do that, but the best education is actually applied learning of trying the tactics and seeing what works for you, because what other people will tell you to do, it's like there is no framework that is foolproof. everyone is different, platforms are different, and just really understanding and testing things out for yourself. And that's where I say you really can't bypass or quantum leap time, because you need the bread to bake, right? You need the bread to bake for a certain amount of hours or minutes or years in order for you to really understand and get it to be what it needs to be. You just can't bypass that. And so I would say the first 0 to 3 years, you're really just going to be, because you're often going to be iterating too. Like you're going to change, you're going to think about what different offerings you're going to have. And with the 0 to 3 years, it's going to be about learning how to build a business, learning how to build a hot audience, like community, right? Community, non-audience, like you want Swifty loyalty. And then just getting used to being seen, being like understanding how to talk about your product, understanding how to talk about your offering, learning what angles you want to pitch yourself as. And it's so funny because I find myself like, sure, I see other people talking about their businesses, but I really want to know like what's under the hood. Like, can you share that piece? And so I almost want to have this demystifying this idea of everyone wanting to leave their corporate jobs and just getting real and honest of what it actually takes to be an entrepreneur. I do want to have that segment because so many people that I work with, they want to leave their dharma, or they want to get into their dharma, but then they don't understand necessarily what is the actual reality of it. And when they get into it, they just realize, okay, like just like anything, right? Like allows you to not be in the present moment and idealize a certain situation is just so easy to think about and want to fall into. And when you're actually in it, you realize, okay, this, I totally romanticized it. Just like, maybe like a first date you go on, or like the first 2 months of being with someone. And then all of a sudden, or maybe even get together with them and you realize this was a bad idea. I shouldn't have done that. And so it's like all learning, right? And I love being really transparent. If anything, if you follow me for a while, if you know my content, like I just love being transparent. There's something I find very gratifying of just sharing the experience of what it actually is, because it does you a disservice if you don't know what you're getting into, if you truly don't. And so this is just for all my peeps who are interested in getting entrepreneurship. Okay, so yeah, I will finish this sentence and then I will stop because I want to check this place out. It's beautiful, it's stunning. And so it's about looking at, okay, 0 to 3 years, building a hot audience, working with one-on-one clients, trying to put yourself out there, trying different platforms, getting used to being on the platforms, building your platforms, building your community, growing your community, trying a bunch of stuff, sunsetting a bunch of stuff, and then learning that. And then it's like, in a corporation, you're like there for 0 to 3 years, and then maybe you get promoted. And so maybe you start offering more and more like different types of offerings, but not necessarily trying different offerings just because you think the other ones aren't selling, and understanding why those other ones aren't working, if it's within the niche that you want to get into, if it's in line and alignment with like what you want to get into. And so that is what I would say. And so for me, like being transparent right now, it's really looking at, working on my existing community. Is it working? Getting back to the drawing board with one-on-ones, working with different clients, really focusing, for me, it's all about feminine spirituality. It's like the more I dive into it, the more I start to realize, like, yes, it is feminine spirituality. Yes, it is myths and goddesses. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just helping you own your voice and stay true to yourself, so you have self-love and self-worth embedded and threaded in every decision that you do. So when you go out in the world, you don't shrink away from it. You're confident to go after the things that you want. You feel resilient in what you're doing, and you have just ownership over it, right? And knowing yourself. And so I'm really giving you the tools and different modalities of knowing yourself better so that you can thrive in this world and live your fullest life. Like that's ultimately what it is. I think all coaches, they do that, but they do it through different tools, different combinations. I happen to do it through Kundalini. I happen to do it through spirituality, feminine spirituality, understanding feminine archetypes, understanding goddesses and myths, and EFT tapping. And so for me, that is just, oh, this sounds so good, so good. And so for me, that is just like tried and true and real in this moment. And I love just sharing different wisdom about it. Anyways, I would love to know if you enjoyed this vlog, if you'd love to connect. I love reading your comments. I love having a dialogue. I love having conversation. I love talking with you all. I hope this helps. I hope this resonates. Let me know when I go back to the States. I'm going to start up my podcast. I'm still going to continue these vlogs for the rest. I have like 30 vlogs I promised myself I would do. And then who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's like a vlog a week or something. But I'm just enjoying, like, let me know what you'd love to see. I love doing this stuff, but always happy to share what's going on. Always happy to share my experience. Always happy to share any lessons and resources that I find along the way, because what's the point of doing life alone? Like, what's the point of having your lessons if you can't share them and if it doesn't help someone else? Like, that's what always gets me, is that there's always purpose to your challenges, to your suffering, because it helps other people. But anyways, signing off from Sweden, going to enjoy the spa services. Have no idea what to expect. Apparently this is Instagram famous. Did not reach my algorithm when it was popular, but really happy the sun is out. Feels like summer. And did you know that in Scandinavia, the best summer day is actually a spring weather in California? This is like as good as it gets. Anyways, talk to y'all later. Bye.